I'm Photo Dave, and for today's video, well, we're going to get back to some action figure photography. And believe it or not, that was like the fourth take it took to just say that. Let's do this. Alright, let's start out by showing you guys what all I've got here to set up this photo with. First off, we've got the water. That's not really going to help set up the photo, but hey, it's water. It's good. The amazing, if you're watching this, I'm drinking my water. Alright, next we've got a reflector. I usually keep the reflector on hand, just in case. It'll bounce some light off of, well, the other light, and onto the figure in case there's areas that are full of shadow that need to be covered up a little bit or that need to be lit up a bit. Then we've got these. I still don't know how I got that bat on there. That was from a Batman and Selena Kyle picture I took a while back. These are just good old-fashioned cotton balls that I can use for smoke if needed. This stuff is shock oil, just in case any of the joints on these bad boys get a little funky. Use that to loosen them up. This is putty, and this is also kind of embarrassing. I've been taking shots of these things pretty steadily for about 4 or 5 years now, and just last night I thought to myself, you know, to keep them steady, maybe I should put putty on the bottom of their feet every time I set them up and not just worry about it when I'm trying to get fancy. Yeah, so that's only mostly embarrassing. This is putty that you can find anywhere. You know, if you go in like an office supply area of any store, like a Walmart or a Target, or even in a Walgreens or a CVS, they usually sell these things with like 4 sticks. This is just those 4 sticks mashed together. And we're going to put that down. It's making me uncomfortable holding it. This is a Neewer light. This control here controls the brightness. I can make this light really bright or not very bright at all. And then also this piece here I can use to extend the light if need be. So it can be way up in the air for me if it needs to happen. Then these are gels that I can use for the light. There's blue, there's red, and there's yellow in the middle. That's probably closer to a cyan, but that red, that's red. Of course, we've got Ashen Lake Shop stands right there in case I need to get anybody on a stand. So I'm pretty geeky. Those are here. We've got some explosion effects. If necessary, I'm not thinking I'll need them, but they're here just in case. We've got all the parts to all the figures. We've got my iPad, and the reason we have the iPad is it'll end up being another light source if needed. It's just stuff I have on hand in case I actually need it. And of course, for this shot, because it's going to focus on the X-Men, we have, well, the X-Men. So, okay, let's go over what the goal of this shot is. First off, I want to do a scene where the X-Men are kind of just splitting out. You know in the first Avengers movie when you had all 6 of the main characters, the main heroes, in the middle of the city, and then they all split out and start doing their thing. That's kind of the very moment I want this shot to be taken, is when they're just starting to split out. Like Cyclops has just given the order to attack. What's going on is they're attacking unseen forces kind of off the page. So the image will be portrait style. It'll be portrait style mostly because I don't have very wide stuff to shoot with, wide backdrops. There you have tall. It also helps with Instagram, if I'm honest. It takes up a lot more real estate on there. This Dio, by the way, is from High School Creations. Definitely check him out on Etsy or Instagram. I'll make sure there's a link in the description below. And yeah, we're going to set these things up so it's the X-Men springing into action. Time for some fun. Okay, I'm here prepping the figures. Just made it so Wolvie's got a slightly angry head a little bit because you can't go into action if you're all giddy all the time. So he's pretty good to go. Let's see. Scott. Yeah, the guy I kind of made fun of in the Wolverine review. By the way, I know a lot of people have been watching that one, so thank you. I appreciate it. Okay, we're going to need an optic blast. I think Scott needs to be a little angry, and I think he needs to, let's see here. He needs to be angry, and he needs to be firing his optic blasts. There we go. I decided when I walked away that you didn't need to see me switching out everybody's weapons and all that good stuff and hands. Everybody's got their angry face on. They've got the weapons I'm going to use in the photo on. So now I'm going to sit back, I'm going to get in front of them, and I'm going to start standing them up and posing them and doing all that stuff. Recording some of the setup and things just falling over, figures' legs popping off, I-beams falling out because that visor wasn't too tight, things like that. I decided it would be best to save you the time of watching me actually set this thing up. So here's the figures all set up. Next thing I'll do is set up the little smoke effects with those cotton balls and the lighting. Yay! Also, that video might have gotten a little twisted for you. My bad. And there's your setup, complete with the lighting. I got that for some backlight. That bad boy there. I've got the reflector hitting Wolvie, otherwise he'd be totally dark. No good. I've got my iPad behind Psych back there to add some light to the background. And because that place could be actually lit up. And then we have this light coming in to kind of be sort of a key light, I guess. So that was the setup. I did put in a little bit of cotton in the front, and it just wasn't looking right, so I pulled it. So there you go. Now we're going to take this bad boy, we're going to shoot it, and we're going to throw it in Photoshop for some quick edits. Now here we go with some editing. Okay, you'll see the little Toypixx logo in the bottom right here. That's because I just uploaded, or I put the photo on my computer and just shoved it in a file I already have saved with the Toypixx logo. So we're good to go. Now the look I'm going to go with here is kind of trying a little more cinematic. So the lighter areas will be a little more, I guess, orange, and the darker areas might be a little more teal. And to do that, I'm going to use curves adjustment layers. Now, adjustment layers, as I explained in the Catwoman film noir video, are basically you just make adjustments, hence adjustment layers, over the actual layer. And then if you end up not liking those adjustments, you can reset them so you're not affecting the original layer, the original photo at all. You're just kind of adding things on top of it to see how it's going to look. So adjustments can always be made in an adjustment layer. So this here, right in the middle, is the adjustment layer, the curves window. And now we have RGB. Why don't we click this hand here, and now we're going to drop this down to red. And this is where I'm going to show you a little bit about curves before we get too crazy here. You'll hold down Alt and you click your mouse button and you push up. You find a light area. What I'm going to do is I'm going to make the light areas a little redder just so you can see what's going on before we really get started. So you push Alt, click the mouse, hold down, and then drag up a little bit. So the lighter things are becoming a little more red. Now we'll just undo, and to undo you just hit Command Z. Now if you want to do the same thing and you want to make the darker area red here, so I'm on kind of this right side with the sort of dark gray, you click Alt again, you click down on the mouse again, and this time you push up. So the darker areas are becoming red. Now, one word of warning, not really warning, just if you do this, it simply won't work. If you were to find a black area on this picture and try to darken it or lighten it, try to make it red or whatever, that's not going to work. So you don't want to use this on darker, like black areas, and you don't want to use it on white areas because you're not going to get the effect you're looking for. Anything close to those, you're good though. So let's start this again. We're going to add a little red to the light area here again. And now if you do the same thing, the opposite of red on this channel, that's going to be cyan. So now you find this darker area, and remember I kind of want it to be sort of tealish for the darker areas, so cyan will be pretty much perfect. Let's find, yeah, right here, right pretty much where the yellow meets the dark gray. If you don't see where the dropper is, hit Alt again, click down on the mouse, and this time you drag down a little bit. So you're still in the red channel. If you were to push up, you'd make it more red, but we're pushing down to make the dark area a little more cyan. Okay, now we'll try the green channel. And remember, anything you do, you just hit Command Z and you can kind of get out of the most recent action that you did. So green, you're playing with, if you go up, you're going to get green, and if you go down, you're going to get magenta. So there's really not, I'll add maybe a little bit of green. I don't really want to add magenta, but we'll add a little bit of green to this darker area here to help with the whole teal deal. And just for kicks, I'll show you magenta here real quick. Again, you click Alt, click the mouse, and push down. And that's magenta in the lighter areas. Like I said, I don't really want to play with magenta on this. Play with green a little bit and I'm good. Okay, now we have blue channel. So if you push up, you're going to make the area blue, and if you push down, you're going to make the area yellow. So I want to make this darker area a little blue, not too crazy, just to add to that teal vibe a little bit. And then I do want some yellow added a little bit, just to give the red channel a little more, like give the lights a little more yellow so the lights can be a little orangey when I'm done. So we're adding a touch of yellow there by pushing down, holding Alt, all that good stuff. And now we can just make adjustments in the adjustment layer. Makes sense. You see, let me drag this in the middle here. You see where this white dot here is? That's where the red adjustment was made. And this down here, it's a little harder to see. That's where the cyan adjustment was made in the red channel. I want to add a little more red just to make it a little brighter. So instead of holding down Alt and moving the mouse, I'm just going to grab where the adjustment was, and I'm going to drag it a little this way. Added a little more red to the lights that way. This area up here is going to make things lighter, and the more you drag it down, the more it'll affect things that are a little darker. So let's go back to that. And now I also, like I said, I wanted to add a little cyan, just a touch, for the old movie look. Okay, so we have a little bit there. Maybe just a little more green. Looks like, man, it doesn't look like green was affected much at all, was it? Let's try this again, this adjustment. There, that's looking a little more cyan-y. I think we're good on blues and yellows. So let's get out of the curves adjustment layer. Now just to show you here, you've got your image on the bottom. And if you hide the curves adjustment layer, you have your image back. Show it, boom, hide it. Now, one last thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to add levels. What levels will do is it'll make the darks darker and the lights lighter. So on this side, you've got black. And we're just adding a little more of that to the picture. Might not need much in the lighter, but let's see. Woo! Yeah, that's a little washed out. We back it out here. A little lighter is actually not that bad. Kind of like that. I sort of like the look Psylocke's getting. if you notice, she almost has a washed out look because of her uniform, because of how shiny it is, I think. Although Psych has a shiny, it's got to be the way that the light was hitting it in the photo. Anyway, that's a little more of the cinematic type look. Again, that was a levels adjustment layer. So we can hide the adjustment layer there, the levels one, it's hidden. We can hide the curves layer, hidden. There's your original shot. Now if you show those two again, there's what you get. So there was today's real quick Photoshop tutorial on making things look just a little more cinematic. And that was just a quick little video showing sort of my process for setting up these action figure photos, doing a little post edit, nothing too crazy. And hey, I get to do that stuff for you guys because as I'm playing, I have to think about it a little more, try and figure out what I'm doing without just going nuts all the time, which should, in theory, make me at least a better photographer and a better editor. And remember, as much as I talk about all this other stuff on this channel, action figure photography is really the point of the whole thing. So that's what I got for you this time. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe, do whatever. Let me know if you want to see any other tricks. Let me know if this is a kind of video that you dig. And we'll go from there. So as always, folks, have fun and happy snapping. See ya.